In today's video, we're going to be talking all about nursing school debt. How fun. We'll talk about how much debt I have from nursing school, the type of loans that I have, and our method of kind of tackling it before we die. Spoiler, if you're looking for more of a Dave Ramsey approach, this is not it. He would not approve of my method, but it's mine and it's worked so far. But if you're looking for that, you probably want to go elsewhere. All right, let's dive into it. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Liz, I'm a family nurse practitioner. Before that, I was a nurse, and that is where actually most of my loans come from, is nursing school, not NP school. We'll talk about that in just a minute. And yeah, I get asked a lot about what kind of loans I have, how much, is it doable, like, help. So I thought we would talk about that today. First, where did my loans come from? I have like a more thorough discussion about this in a different video. I will leave it linked down below, but the synopsis version is my accelerated nursing program. It was about $50,000 when I did that many years ago. And yeah, that's where it came from. NP school, I actually was able to pay for out of pocket. My employer paid for about half of it. And then I paid for the rest because I was working full time through the first 2 years of it. And I was married. And we'll talk a little bit more at the end about kind of budgeting, sort of, I guess, in general, and how to have a little bit of extra cash. Through that, I was very fortunate that we were able to pay out of pocket for my NP. So all of it's actually from my nursing degree. And I think it was like $49,800 at the time. Obviously, you know, interest. By the time I started paying it off, it was more than that. So that's how much debt I ended up with from college, was about $50K. I'm also, like I said, married, and my husband graduated from college with about $50,000 in debt as well. So we were combined, I think, $101,000 when we like finally total and tallied it up. Now, let's talk about what type of loans we have. So I have Sallie Mae loans. They're private loans. When I went to go apply for loans for school, I was denied because of federal loans because of my parents' income. Other things that happen is in accelerated nursing programs is you will get denied because you might have already had federal loans for your first bachelor degree. In that case, Sallie Mae or other private loans are a great option for you. My husband had federal loans, but he has since consolidated them. And what is it when you do the interest thing and it gets lower? Consolidation, is that it? Refinanced, that's the word. He refinanced his, so they are no longer, now they're private because they were refinanced at a much lower rate. So there we go. Those are the type of loans that we are working with. Now let's talk about how we are paying them off. So here we go. And this is controversial. Some people hate this method and think I'm stupid, and that's fine. It's not your life. This is what has kind of worked for me. We worked, my husband and I, like really hard. We both worked full-time through school. We worked really hard for our whole 20s. We had no extra spending money. It was just, you know, you're grinding in your 20s. And we really did. And so now that we are in our loan repayment phase, we are not those people that are going hardcore, like I'm just gonna spend all of my money throwing it back at loans. Cause we're kind of like, I just wanna like take a deep breath and enjoy. We have 2 little girls. I just wanna like enjoy life a little bit. So we have a multi-modal approach to paying down our loans, and it's ours and it works. I'll share it with you in case it might wanna work for you, but also a lot of people love Dave Ramsey. I'm not knocking that at all. If that is you and you just wanna like knock it out, go for it. That just won't be what we're kind of talking about here today. So here's our approach of kind of how we are paying off our student loans, because we are paying more than the minimum payment while still like living life, going out to eat, and like buying things that we want, you know, like not having the super duper budget. And one of the first things we did in order to do that was like, we really pretended we only had my husband's income. Like, can we pay our mortgage and our car, all of our bills with just his income? And that kind of allows mine to cover fun stuff as well as pay off student loans and do all of that. So that's what we did when we were looking at buying a house. All of that is we pretended we were on one income. Obviously, this doesn't work for everyone. If you need both your incomes to do the things, maybe you live in an area where it's very expensive. We moved to an area that wasn't quite as expensive, so this was feasible. We lived farther out of town. We didn't buy the house with the 3-car garage. You know, like we did things that tried to like minimize, well, like I said, just like live below your means so that we could still enjoy our life. And that's helped immensely because then most of my income can just go to like, hey, do we want to put this back into our loans? Or when we had a baby recently, we have a high deductible plan, you know, like my income, we just kind of saved and chunked up, and then we were able to pay for her birth and all of my medical expenses. So that's kind of how we approached in general, just like structuring our money. Second thing we do is we do not spend like crazy amounts of money. We really try not to buy new things a ton. That has been something that we've worked on a lot over the years when we've just, so we're not in the beginning big spenders. So this is somewhere that if you are someone who just like, you have like impulse, you like to like impulse buy things, that's where like a system of a budget might work for you, because we don't really have a budget. We just know like, ooh, when I really want something, if it's over $50, we talk about it. And if it's under that, like usually we are kind of at the place where we just buy it. But we're very mindful kind of what we buy. Not that we don't. If you follow me, you know, like we buy stuff, but it is sort of like intentional. Like we're not just trying to go out and buy like all the things. Neither of us really spend a lot of money on clothes. We're kind of more like a simple wardrobe. Having children will curb your spending real quick, ironically, because you can't go out and do anything when you have a toddler and a baby. Kind of squash your adventurous spirit. The other thing we really haven't spent a lot of money on is vacation. Obviously, if this was important to you, you could kind of like mix that in there. But again, we have small children, so like going away on these fancy vacations has not seemed very fun at this stage of life. Later that may change. So that's some ways that we kind of minimize our spending and just try to be smart with kind of where our money goes within that. And then in order to actually pay off the loans, here's the approach we kind of used monetarily. So we kind of had goals. We're like, okay, we want this much in savings. When we hit that much in savings, we're just not going to touch it. It's just gonna kind of like sit there and be like, okay, good. You just sit there in case we need you. Next, we were going to have a certain amount in checking. Everything that goes over that number. So let's just, for simplicity's sake, say that's like $1,000. And you're like, every time my checking account goes over $1,000, I'm going to put that money into my student loans. So making lots of little payments throughout the month, like any time, like it's $1,005, like $1,005, that $5 is going in. And we have done that now for a year and a half and been able to pay off, oh gosh, like with payments of it. So I don't know how much extra, probably like 20-ish. We're down to like around 80. So it's definitely working. It's chunking away slowly. Some months we're able to put more away, some months we're not. So like if it was like Christmas, obviously your credit card bill is going to be a little bit higher that month probably. So you won't have as much spillage, but that is how we decide how much extra to kind of dump towards student loans. Is anytime it goes over that threshold, we just put it into a student loan. And in terms of what loans we're paying off first, we're paying off ones with the lowest interest rates, also the smaller ones, which I think the smaller one is a Dave Ramsey thing, because mine are all in chunks, Joe's in one huge chunk. So we're actually saving Joe's for last. One, because since he refinanced, the interest rate is the lowest, but it's all one lump sum, whereas mine they started out in 6 different loans. So we started with the one with the highest interest rate and paid that one off. You might be able to hear my daughter crying. She's sad about our student loans too. And then we put everything into that one, and then that one's done and we go to the next one. We're doing that because then, like, even if that one was only $25 a month, now it's done and we don't pay anything towards it. Perfect. Boop, 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 boop. So we're just going up the line and attacking one of mine at a time, while obviously still paying on all of them. But we've been focusing on the loan with the highest interest rate, gobbling that whole one up, and then going to the next one. And then once all of mine are paid off, we'll go to Joe's, because his is, like I said, a lump sum, and it's the lowest interest rate. Now for kind of our overall mentality in terms of like, because people are like, oh my gosh, if you budgeted, you could just get it done so much quicker. Here we go. Here's our mentality towards the whole thing. We worked so hard, which I kind of touched on, which I guess I kind of touched on earlier, but we'll just bring this home in case this is you too and you need to like to feel like it's okay. I feel like society, a lot of it is like, you need to just pay it off, like don't have fun. I've heard a lot of people saying like, I can't buy a house, I can't have kids, I can't do all this until my student loans are paid off. And our mentality was just like, we've dedicated so much of our life to attaining these goals and like getting to where we are right now, where we're like not, like pinching every penny. We're gonna have fun and we're gonna live a little, because we've worked really hard. And I don't want to, what if I got in a car accident, like not to be morbid, in like a year and I was like never doing any of the things I love. Like I like going out to eat. I like being able to buy random fun things. And I don't want to deprive myself of living right now, taking my girls on fun little trips, paying for experiences and just like enjoying life now. Not that you need money to enjoy life, but you know what I mean? Like I don't want to stress about every penny now. Because if I die in a year, I'll be like, oh, well, at least I paid my student loans off. Like, no, you know what I mean? We worked really hard for a really long time, and we want to just enjoy that. So that has kind of been our mentality going forward, is obviously not excessively, but using those methods we talked about, we're kind of able to balance like really just being able to go and enjoy life with being able to pay off our loans at the same time. And obviously everyone's situation is going to be different, and yours might be like, I need to pinch pennies to make it, and that's okay, guys. But I also, for those of you who don't want to be like, who feel bad because everyone else is going so hardcore, like, if you don't want to go hardcore, it's okay. I'm not going hardcore. I'm right there with you. We're like just having fun and enjoying what we've worked for while paying it off. Yes. Will it not get paid off as quickly? Yes. Would we, technically save obviously money long-term because we're collecting interest? Yes. Would it be great to feel like free of all financial burden? Also, yes. But again, to us, it's just not worth that trade-off of all the things we would lose out on if we really, really, really budgeted now versus like, yeah, we're going to lose some money long-term, but I feel like the happiness, just our quality of life is better. So that's kind of our general approach to loans in general. Here soon, I'm going to make a video kind of talking about the different types of loans you can get as a nurse and public service loan forgiveness and all of that. But today I just wanted to kind of do like our mentality towards it, I guess an update since we talked last, and I'll link that video down below of where we were at. It's working. So I think back then too, it seemed very overwhelming and impossible. And just with having that cutoff threshold and living a little bit below what we technically could afford, those two things have been the biggest, and just like curbing a little bit of spending, that it really is paying off. And I wish I could tell my past self that like, just stick with it. It's gonna be fine. Like, you'll be in a much better place. It seems like nothing at the time when you're just tossing like 50 bucks at it, 75, whatever it is. But over time that really does add up. And it's very gratifying to see when we've been able to pay off 3 of my little loans. So we are halfway there with not monetarily, because the littler ones were also much smaller number-wise, but just seeing them go away is also very gratifying. So I wish I could tell my past self that. So if you're there and you feel like these are overwhelming and impossible, find it doesn't have to be this method. You might want to go like the more hardcore Dave Ramsey method. Find a method that works for you. There are so many out there. You can do it, I promise it. One of the benefits of having a job in nursing is you usually are paid decently. So it's not like you have loans, yes, from school, but usually you are compensated fairly well. And if not, just move somewhere where you are. Just kidding. Some states are like scary with how little they pay nurses, but as a country in general, nurses are usually paid like decently enough that you will be able to pay your loans. Okay, that's kind of where we're coming with it. I get asked this question a lot of how I handle, we pay that off, but that's how we are paying it off. I'll keep you posted throughout just my regular videos and stuff of like where we are in terms of paying everything. That's kind of like our approach to the whole loans situation. If you have them, we're right there with you. Let me know down in the comments below how you are tackling it. Like, are you like a Dave Ramsey, like, yes, somewhere in between, or more like way lax, sort of like us, or are you just like letting them go? Like, I'm just gonna pay the monthly, like, the amount that I'm due, and like it'll be done in 10 years or whatever the term of it is. Let me know down below. I love seeing that stuff, and I think it's helpful for you guys to see what other people are doing. You can be like, okay, I'm not the only one. I will see you guys in the comment section. Hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will see you next time.